Thank you for joining me, everybody, for yet another educational video about the 16 personalities. And today the topic that we are tackling is how do the 16 personalities process emotions differently? Because believe me, they process emotions differently. It's really valuable to know this because then you can go out and see, oh, that's why that person is dealing with their emotions this way and this other person's dealing with it that way. You will start to become aware of it. And just a reminder, I have a whole playlist of these educational videos about the 16 personalities. So if you haven't seen those, if you need to catch up, you can click the card above my head. That'll take you to the whole darn playlist. You can get yourself educated. Before we get into that, let me tell you about this video sponsor, Squarespace. Now, if you would like to make a website and you want it to look good and you want it to be easy to make, Squarespace is the perfect option. Squarespace is so intuitive to use. You just find a template that you like, you select that, you start moving things around, just drag and drop, you plug in your text. It looks like you're a professional web designer. Squarespace has a bunch of cool features, such as you can make a members only section of your website and then monetize that bad boy. You can sync up your social media accounts and then push content from the website to those accounts so it's seamless. Now, maybe you don't want to commit, you just want to try it out. That's great. You can get a free trial of Squarespace just by going to squarespace.com right now. And then when you're ready to take the leap, go to squarespace.com/FrankJames, get 10% off your first domain or website. Now let's talk about how the 16 personalities process emotions differently. I wrote it on this board. I mean, you saw it at the beginning, I guess, and then I put it behind me. So I don't know what that's all about. You can really separate the 16 personalities down the middle into two distinct groups. On one side, you have the FP and the TJ types, okay? And these types use introverted feeling. Now, it might not be their preferred decision-making function, but they have introverted feeling somewhere in their personality. And then on the other side, you have the FJ and the TP types, and they as well may not prefer feeling to make decisions, but they have extroverted feeling. So you can see the difference here, introverted, extroverted, the two main ways of dealing with emotions, processing emotions, making decisions based on emotions. Now, of course, feeling is feeling, there's gonna be a little overlap, but the introverted versus extroverted feeling does manifest itself in some different ways. Let's talk about that. So introverted feeling, it's introverted, hence introverted feeling. And because of that, it's rarely gonna be like obvious, hitting you in the face. It's not something that's just kind of on the surface, it is deep. Extroverted feeling, on the other hand, is on the surface. It is extroverted. It's out there. So obviously everyone feels feelings. This is like the most obvious thing I've ever said. But the introverted feelers, because it is not on the surface, they don't necessarily feel like they need to talk about it. Now they will from time to time, but I think they just don't really like bringing it out. It's tough for them to really put words to the feelings in a way that does the feeling justice. The extroverted feelers, though, they feel like they need to talk out how they're feeling. They want to express, I feel this way. How do you feel about this thing? And then because of this difference here, on the introverted feeling side, these types might feel like misunderstood, like people don't really understand how I feel. Well, no wonder, you're not really expressing it, you're not really getting it out there. I think a lot of times introverted feelers may even think that they are expressing their emotions, they are emoting, but they're like really not. The extroverted feelers want their emotions to be understood by other people. They want their emotions to be put out there so that there can be some harmony found. The introverted feelers don't necessarily care so much about harmony. If they're feeling something and no one else is feeling that, or it doesn't seem like the correct thing to feel at that time, they don't care. They're just like, this is how I feel. It ain't changing. But it's interesting, the extroverted feelers, their feeling is like something that is genuine, that is sincere coming up from within them, but they feel the responsibility for their emotions to harmonize with others, with what is kind of expected, what is appropriate. And it's not like a mental process where it's like, oh, what should I do here? It's just that's how their feelings react. And while the introverted feelers don't care about what's appropriate emotionally, the extroverted feelers really do. They like want to know, is what I'm feeling right now like what I should be feeling? They want to get a good gauge of how do people generally react to this thing? Where do I fall on that scale? And does that seem right? Should I feel this way? Okay, let's stop momentarily and support this channel and see if YouTube would like to show a commercial. Thanks for sitting through that. And if you're enjoying this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. The introverted feelers have intense, deep emotions. And the extroverted feelers, they can be intense and they can be deep emotions, but the thing is, I think because they are looking out, trying to harmonize, trying to figure out where they fall on that scale and if what they feel is appropriate, they are much more likely to move their emotions in order to line up with some kind of harmony. Where the introverted feelers, their emotion, the word that comes to mind is like immovable. Their emotion is their emotion. They got to deal with it. If they want to move it, they will move it. They will feel something else if they want to feel something else. But it's not a fast turning ship there. Whereas the extroverted feelers, yeah, they're like, oh, wait a second, I felt this one thing, now I'm gonna feel this other thing. They both might be strong emotions, but I have to move with what I think is right. And so it's funny because what happens then is the introverted feelers, their feeling to them in some ways becomes almost like more important and more real than the thing that they are like feeling something about. It's like the feeling is more important to me, and that's why I can't move it. Like I have to really get into this feeling and feel it, man. Whereas the extroverted feelers can be like all over the place and feel like a lot of things at once that might even be contradictory. I feel like the introverted feelers have a much more, because it's deep, their feeling, they have a much more single track feeling process where it's just like, I feel this thing, I feel it really deeply, really intensely, and that's about it. Whereas the extroverted feelers are, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this, they don't really make sense, they don't work together, I'm angry and I'm happy and I'm sad at the same time. What is going on? So the extroverted feelers can feel a bit a little bit all over the place when it comes to emotions. A little bit, you might say moody, I guess. The introverted feelers, when they get moody, they like stay in a mood. It's like, okay, I'll come back like in a few days, okay? So, as such, when these types, these two different distinct groups of types are processing emotions, they go about it in different ways. So the introverted feelers, they're kind of like on a boat by themselves out in the middle of their lake of emotions. They've got to figure it out on their own. They've got to process it for themselves. They're less likely to say, hey, let me talk to all my friends about how I feel, and more likely to just be like, I need to go off by myself and just feel the stuff. Now for the types that prefer introverted feeling on that side, so that's ENFP, INFP, ESFP, ISFP, those types feel the responsibility to work out their emotions. And so when they go and they do that and they're feeling their stuff and they're processing it on their own and they're doing their thing, they're gonna be, relatively calm about it. It's not gonna freak them out to have to deal with their emotions. It might not be pleasant or comfortable, but it's like, yeah, I need to do this. I need to handle my emotions and I need to find a way to embrace them and get through it. Whereas the types that do not prefer introverted feeling, the INTJ, ENTJ, ESTJ and ISTJ, they're gonna struggle a bit more with processing the introverted feeling because they feel like I really shouldn't have to deal with the emotions. Like, I'm the logical guy. I deal with how do I just get stuff to work, and if I'm feeling bad, then I need I need to find like a solution logically to kind of circumvent the feeling. Especially the EJ types, the ENTJ and ESTJ there, introverted feeling is the thing they struggle with the most. So their extroverted thinking, their logic is always trying to shut down the introverted feeling. But the thing is, every dog has its day, if you will. So the introverted feeling has to come out at some point, and then they're gonna be processing their emotions when they're freaked out and they're forced to deal with it and they're not enjoying it, and it might be the first time they've thought about their feelings in 10 years. And so if you are one of these types, that's why it's good to realize, okay, I need to start going into that introverted feeling and processing my emotions bit by bit. And it's okay to have the feelings. Like, I don't need to shut them down. My thinking doesn't have to shut down my feeling. The INTJ and ISTJ, they have introverted feeling as their third cognitive function, which means it's not their preferred thing. Like, they would rather do thinking, but it's somewhat balanced. It's not the worst thing in the world for them to deal with. So for the INTJs and ISTJs out there, you probably, it's almost like, I guess, a hobby for you to occasionally, oh man, I'm feeling this thing. That's interesting. So you're already on the path, theoretically, of like figuring out the feeling, but make sure you don't suppress that. Make sure that you embrace your feeling as well. Allow yourself to go through it, to process it, and really feel those emotions. So for the ISFP, INFP, ESFP, ENFP, my advice to you, I guess, would be don't feel like you have to be all on your own. Like, you can do a little bit of that fake extroverted feeling and, you know, talk about it with someone. You don't have to put the full weight of it on your shoulders. Whew, this video is getting long. Why don't we support this channel and see if YouTube would like to show another commercial? Thanks for sitting through that. Let's get back to the subject matter at hand. Going to the extroverted feelers, the FJ types, the INFJ, ISFJ, ESFJ, ENFJ, they prefer extroverted feelings. So they're already kind of doing this all the time, talking about their emotions, talking about how they feel about stuff, and trying to get a gauge on how does what I feel fall into the range of what everyone else is feeling out there. Those FJ types feel like processing emotion is something that I should be doing with other people. And then the other side of that is they can even be like, well, why don't you guys feel the way I feel about this? We all need to get on the same page. The ENFJ and ESFJ can be a bit more aggressive about that because extroverted feeling is their dominant function. INFJ and ISFJ can be a little bit more cool about it, but still, they're all at some point going to be like trying to figure out why do I, if I feel differently, why do I feel differently? Should I feel this way? Why do you feel that way? How can we all work that out? And then we have the TP types, the INTP, ISTP, ESTP, and ENTP, who don't prefer extroverted feeling, but they have it. They prefer introverted thinking. So like with the TJ types, their thinking is trying to shut down the feeling and be like, yeah, we don't need to talk about feelings, okay? We can just like figure out some way to go around it. And the people who will struggle the most with that are the INTP and ISTP, because extroverted feeling is their inferior function. It's something they just really don't want to deal with. And just like with the ENTJ and ESTJ we talked about, when it comes time for them to process emotions, it's going to take a long time, a lot of pressure building up, and they're going to feel really weird about it. They're going to kind of freak out a little bit, and they're like, okay, let me talk about how I'm feeling, you jerks. I'm going to tell you all about it. ENTP and ESTP will have that problem, but not that badly. They will be able to dip in to that FE, the extroverted feeling, and you can kind of tell when they're doing it because they feel a little bit, they can feel a little bit awkward about it. Look at me, I'm talking about emotions. Yay, I'm playing this game with you guys. But that's good. Embrace that. Embrace talking about emotions and trying to figure out how do you feel by talking it out with people. That's another thing about extroverted feeling that I hear a lot from extroverted feelers is they're like, I need to talk out how I'm feeling in order to really get to the bottom of what I'm feeling. It's like, because I think it has to do with so many contradictory things, so many different things they feel. They need to talk about all of them to get to a point where they're like, oh, okay, I feel this. So interesting. And for the INTP and ISTP, you gotta start learning how to talk about emotion. It doesn't have to be deep. You know, the extroverted feelers were good about talking about emotion in a way that's just like, you know, on the surface. That's okay. Start there. One little thing at a time. Don't let it pile up. I think the thinkers worry if they talk about emotions, they will look dumb. And you will. But it's okay. That is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to, you know, get those emotions out there. Embrace them. Talk about them. And then for those FJ types, I guess the thing I would tell you, which is sort of like the analog to what I told the introverted feelers, you can do a bit of fake introverted feeling and be like, I don't necessarily have to figure out if what I feel is appropriate or not, or if it's the right thing to feel. I can just feel it, and that's okay. Let me know in the comments what other stuff you want to learn about the 16 personalities, because I am loving teaching this. Watch another video about the 16 personalities right here, or watch the whole educational playlist right here. And until next time, stay cool and attractive.